Hello, welcome to this severe weather update for the U.S. and Canada. So let's see what's happening. In terms of severe weather, it's mainly quiet, no severe expected in the next 3 days. But there still might be some storms in the southeast today, some storms in the Great Lakes and parts of the southwest. So be aware, just some storms. And let's see, tomorrow's also showing storms in the southeast in some portions there, maybe a storm or two on the west. And then day 3, still some storms in the southeast, some not severe storms. So be aware of storms. And our next big thing is in terms of fire. We have an elevated in parts of Nevada for today, so be aware there. So let's see, because of the record high temperatures and some very low humidity and winds. But tomorrow there's a big critical from Nebraska to North Dakota, and some big areas of elevated in Nevada and Utah, in Montana, Wyoming and Idaho, and parts of northern Utah and even Washington. So please be aware tomorrow of some fire weather conditions will be favorable for the development of fire. So be aware. Let's see a deepening mid-level trough and accompanying jet stream expected to traverse the western Canadian provinces on Sunday. At the surface, a low will deepen across northern Rockies and tighten pressure gradients will develop in the northern plains into the Intermountain West and Cascades. The result will be increasing surface winds within these areas. A dry return flow regime over the northern plains will unfold, where high temperature confidence in the latest guidance suggests a speed around 15 to 25 mile per hour gusts in the afternoon. Persistent low moisture content of medium fuels for this region. ERCs exceeding 95th percentiles and relative humidity in the low teens warrant a narrow critical area from the northeastern panhandle, from the Nebraska panhandle through the west, central South Dakota. Further west, this region, southwest, will also westerly winds, slightly lower speed to impact central Wyoming and southern Montana, parts of Idaho. So be aware, two other elevated areas have been added, including the Great Basin and Columbia River Basin. So fuels across the farm region continue to become receptive for fire spread due to persistent warm and dry conditions, but transient elevated critical southern southwest winds are anticipated. Dry westerly downslope surface flow near 50 miles per hour, coinciding with relative humidity in the upper teens proceeding through the trough, will impact eastern Washington, and if later guidance suggests a deeper or slower trough procession, these elevated areas may need to be expanded, so be aware. I just read everything, so you know completely what's happening. So let's see the rainfall now. There's still a teeny bit of rainfall for what's left of post-tropical cyclone Helene, but nothing crazy. But still might have some storms, the rain. Tomorrow, the critical fire, some mixed precipitation, and more rain. Day 3, similar thing. So still a marginal today in Florida and from Georgia to Indiana, so be aware. Day 2, still a marginal West Virginia, Pennsylvania, parts of Ohio and Virginia, and marginal still in Florida, so be aware of excessive rainfall like flooding. And then day 3, still a marginal from Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and parts of Pennsylvania. And day 4 and day 5, still nothing. So be aware. And let's see, in terms of snowfall, still doesn't show anything crazy. Nothing actually, just in northern Washington, maybe something. So on day 7, so let's see. There's the rain. It shows still rain there from the rest of Helene. Show like in Ohio, some more rain, West Virginia, Kentucky, still some rain, and near the coast, North Carolina, might have some more rain too. From like 0.1 to 1.5 inches near West Virginia and some areas. So be aware. Tomorrow still shows like, so it shows this as Monday, so this is actually Sunday, because when I record this video like late that they show this for the next day. So this was Sunday, so Monday they still show a lot in Virginia And West Virginia, close to like 2 inches or something. In Pennsylvania too, so be aware. And yeah, day 3 next Tuesday shows more in the east, still in the mid-Atlantic, so be aware. Maybe some showers near the Great Lakes and in Florida. Day 4, Wednesday shows more in the northeast into Canada and more in the southeast. Day 5 shows a little bit more near the Gulf, building there, and in Florida, some showers elsewhere. Day 6, next Friday, shows more in the Gulf, building, and some showers in northern northwestern areas. Day 7, next Saturday, shows a lot building the Gulf there, so we might need to watch that for some sort of tropical threat, but still nothing, nothing certain. This might be just some moisture. So day 1 through 7 shows a lot there, the rest of Helene in the northwest and the building the Gulf. So be aware. And let's see, next 3 to 7 days still shows excessive heat in the southwest and the flooding occurring there, and some hazardous heat in southern Florida too. Day 8 through 14 shows more heavy rain potential and some like excessive heat in the southwest and flooding possible, the flooding that's occurring and the drought, Texas, Oklahoma. So be aware. The temperatures are still very high, show like 114, and if you zoom in closer, they might be all the way to 116 or something in the southwest, so please be aware. 90s near the northern plains, 90s in the southeast, southern plains, so be aware. This is today. It's already the middle of the day, so tomorrow shows more 90s in the northern plains. There's the critical fire there, so be aware. And 100s in the southwest still, so 90s in other areas. So like 70s and 60s in some areas there. Day 3, next Monday, shows more 100s on the southwest, more 90s there, on the southeast, on the south, and the southeast as well. So be aware. Day 3, minimum temperatures, like from Tuesday to Wednesday, shows some very colder temperatures in the morning, like in the 30s, maybe in the 20s Fahrenheit in those mountains. So be aware there, some chillier temperatures coming. And now day 4, maximum temperatures, next Wednesday shows more. So some 70s there, some 100s on the southwest, on the California still, some 90s in the south. So be aware. Next, so that was like day 4. Okay, so now it's Wednesday, so show some 90s, 100s there, some 90s in the southwest, 100s on the southwest, and some 90s on the southeast. So all the way to like some 80s in the plains and not areas. And day 5, minimum temperatures from like Wednesday to Thursday shows still colder on the west, some 50s, high 40s there on the northeast Fahrenheit, the minimum temperature. So day 6, Thursday shows more 60s in the north, the maximum, and more 100s on the southwest and some 90s. And day 7, next Friday, still some 100s there and some 90s in other areas, 70s and 80s. So be aware of the heat. And day 1, max wind gusts shows like for today's Saturday, shows more, a little bit gusty winds in some mountains there in the plains, but nothing crazy. So be aware. And now, let me just see if they have the heat risk. So still that major to extreme heat risk in the southwest because of those very high temperatures. In Florida too, some major heat risk, so be careful there. Sunday still some major and extreme there, some moderate in the northern plains, and even some extreme areas in Florida, so be aware. Monday, similar thing, be aware in Florida still on Monday and the southwest. Tuesday, similar. Wednesday, mainly the southwest and the southeast, feeling the heat. Thursday and Friday, so be aware. And then still a lot of red flag warnings in those areas, Wyoming and Montana, parts of Nebraska, and some excessive heat warnings there, and maybe some air quality in Texas, and some heat advisories Florida, and not the flood warnings there from Helene, so be aware. And still shows like here's some major extreme flooding, some of the lakes and rivers there, so please be careful. And now in Canada it shows maybe a storm or two in northern Ontario, but nothing crazy. But the rest, the prairies and British Columbia, Quebec, is mainly quiet. So be aware. The HER shows those showers there from the rest of Helene, still some rain around those areas today. Shows maybe a storm or two in Florida, like in the afternoon, and yeah, nothing crazy. Passing close to North Carolina tomorrow, Sunday, very close to the coast, some storms, and it does show me maybe a storm or two in eastern Quebec tomorrow afternoon, and maybe shows a storm or two this afternoon in like an evening like New Mexico, so be aware, and some showers in Washington and British Columbia, but nothing crazy. And then let's see, we have still some wind and rain warnings, the Northwestern Territories and Nunavut, so many wind warnings. And here you can kind of see the wind, because there's all that crazy wind in Nunavut from that system this today, more than 94 km per hour gusts, shows some 88 km per hour gusts, so be aware of the high winds today. This continues the northern part of Northwestern Territories as well, so be aware. And then we'll start having two things coming up. One near southern Alaska, maybe some gusty winds at sea there, and another one in the ocean coming fiercely towards the coast. But before we get there in the ocean, we'll get some very gusty winds parts of the western US and Canada. So let's see. This is starting Sunday afternoon, tomorrow, the 29th, shows some gusty winds near northern Montana and southern Alberta, British Columbia, so be aware, shows more than 70, 80 km per hour gusts. And then let's see, maybe a gust in the tree in Manitoba, but nothing crazy. But as we progress into like Sunday night, into Monday, shows some very gusty winds like throughout, miles per hour. So throughout Montana, parts of Idaho, more than 40 mile per hour gusts, 50, 54 mile per hour gusts. So be aware. Wyoming show like some 46 mile per hour gusts. This is the European. Each model might have a different, like the GFS has much less, just around Montana, 51 mile per hour gusts. And the Icon has more scared, like the European shows all the way to like 64 mile per hour gusts in Montana. So be aware. In Wyoming and Idaho, some high winds, southern Alberta, British Columbia, so be aware those areas. And now let's continue with the Europeans. So some gusty winds in Manitoba. Then as you go through Monday, the gusty winds continue in Montana and South Dakota there, close to 50 miles per hour, like 40, 50 mile per hour gusts, will be like 77 kilometer per hour gusts, so be aware. For parts of Saskatchewan, some gusty winds. Then this keeps going, the European really strengthens this, like throughout Manitoba, Saskatchewan, more than 90 km per hour gusts, Manitoba, southeastern Saskatchewan, northern North Dakota, so be aware those areas. And then even like in other areas. So we have this system going through northern US and central Canada, and at the same time another one approaching like British Columbia and southern Alaska, so a lot of stuff to watch. And then this system continues there, gusty winds in the Hudson Bay, continue in Manitoba, close to 97. The European shows like 100 km per hour gusts. The GFS is like some gusty winds too, close to 100 km per hour gusts, northern Manitoba, and in Hudson Bay, some very high gusts. And Quebec, like western Quebec, might feel some wind from this. This is already like Monday night, the 30th, into Tuesday. These winds continue having to Quebec there, and Nunavut, especially Nunavut, on Tuesday, the 1st. So please be careful with those winds. It continues spinning like in Nunavut until Thursday, so be aware. And then now, like we have this system approaching the coast there, already like on Monday the 30th, you start approach like Monday night. The European model has some very high winds near the coast of British Columbia and some areas southern Alaska, so be aware, more than 80, 90 km per hour gusts, some occasions even 100 in the ocean. Then this keeps going. This like Tuesday during the night, like between Monday and Tuesday, shows some 82 kilometer per gust there. And let's see here, that's southern Alaska, so it will be some 51 mile per hour gusts. Further north in the mountains of Alaska, close to 60 mile per hour gusts, so be aware. And then this keeps going. Still, some high winds continue into Wednesdays with southern Alaska, so then most of it goes into British Columbia. So be aware. So in kilometers again, shows like this Wednesday some gusty winds from parts of British Columbia, and yeah. And then later, the European has another system trying to approach the coast, but mainly remaining offshore. But it has like by Friday the 4th, this tries to approach British Columbia there, Vancouver Island and some areas close to 127 km per gusts in the ocean. So we have to monitor this. And if this happens, like Saturday the 5th, are showing gusty winds through Montana, Alberta, parts of Washington, and British Columbia again. So we have to monitor. And the GFS for this first system here on Tuesday the 1st also shows some high winds close to 99, 100 km per hour gusts. So be careful there, southern Alaska, British Columbia. And then now it shows like snow accumulation next 5 days. First, the GFS shows like a lot throughout British Columbia, more than like 77 centimeters, southern Alaska, northern British Columbia might get some snow drizzles, shows more. The mountains between Alberta and British Columbia show like more than 50 centimeters, a tiny hint or two northern Washington, but nothing crazy. And then it shows a lot of snow from this system into Manitoba, Nunavut there. So more than 40 centimeters, northern Manitoba to Nunavut. Next 5 days, this is until Thursday. Shows northern Northwestern Territories, some more, northern Arctic areas of Nunavut, and even shows a tiny hint of snow in Quebec, so be aware. And now the European model shows only a hint in Quebec, and shows less, but does show northern Manitoba a little bit into Nunavut, and shows really a lot in Alberta, British Columbia, and in the mountains there, British Columbia, and even now there's like, might have some snow outside the mountains. Southern Alaska, snow or two there, and be aware. So let's see, there's also the icon, shows more Nunavut, northern Saskatchewan, Northwestern Territories, British Columbia, so yeah, be aware, those areas. So now, let's see, there's the European, it does show like, maybe precipitation type is interesting. So that does show some rain Sunday for like Quebec and Labrador, a little bit of rain, and it shows that snow like starting on the west, the mountains of Alberta, British Columbia. So like even some freezing rain in some spots. So be aware that pink, some wet snow, and be aware. And then this continues. This system comes on Monday and Tuesday. Some more snow, hints of freezing rain, and some rain there. And the Europeans really kicking up the freezing rain on Tuesday, the 1st, showing some higher values. Like that's little, but it does show some probabilities of freezing rain. Northern British Columbia, snow, wet snow, so be aware in those areas. And then this continues there, and more stuff to watch later. So be aware. In terms of thunderstorms, that doesn't show anything great. Maybe those storms in Quebec tomorrow afternoon, Sunday. Does show maybe some storms possible Sunday in Saskatchewan to Manitoba, but nothing that crazy. Some heavy rain might have too, as that system on Tuesday there. So be aware and stay safe. Let's see if there's something else here, but nothing that crazy. So bye.